Relaxing evening. Got to just kick back, relax, boil some crawfish, enjoy some good old crawfish. And like I said on Sunday, uh, grill some hamburgers. Good weekend. Went hog hunting Friday night. Tried to get on some hogs. Didn't get on any real quick. Uh, thought the dog struck one time, but we didn't get to bay a hog that night. But we had fun. Got out of the house, got in the woods in the middle of the night, and that was enjoyable.
Yeah, that's always a good time. So I hope y'all had a great time, and I hope y'all found all the Easter eggs that maybe you hid that way. But if you didn't, give it a few days. Y'all will be smelling them if they're real eggs. So, but we have a very, very exciting show for y'all tonight. Or I say exciting, it's a very informative show. It's something sometimes people don't want to talk about, but it's maybe a little squeamish for y'all. And I know especially some of the ladies, it's going to be kind of squeamish. But Todd and I were both brought up, learning about this so we don't step on one, and that is snakes. So we're going to give a little bit of detail about snakes because I know it's starting to warm up. Thank you, Lord, it's starting to warm up. I'm so enjoying the beautiful weather and the warm sunshine. But I know a few people have actually seen some snakes and actually killed a few.
Yeah, there's been quite a few snakes killed. I've seen a bunch of people killing snakes on Facebook, have them in their yards and stuff. And snakes, they start get this time of the year, they start moving, especially them rattlesnakes. They start moving, they get up in your yard, copperheads, coil snakes, get up in your yard, cause problems.
So we're going to give you some tips on the different types of snakes that we have, the venomous snakes that we have in Louisiana, different types of snakes that we have in Louisiana, and tips on how to keep them out of your yard and away from your kids and your family and your pets and stuff like that. So it's part of spring, part of summer, part of warming up. And I know last year a lot of people, especially in Jackson Parish, was having a lot of problem with rattlesnakes. So, and I have a feeling they're going to be back this year with vengeance. So.
Oh, I imagine. As everybody knows here in North Louisiana, the rattlesnake is the most common venomous snake that is around. Of course, when you get close to your bayous and your lakes and things like that, you got the water mosquito and the cottonmouth. They cause a lot of problems. Very, very dangerous snake, very aggressive snake. Of course, myself, I've actually went out and just for the fun of it, just catch them, for the fun.
But kids,
for the
do
fun
not
of it,
listen to anything Mr. Todd is saying right now. Do not go catch a snake. Just stay away from them. Don't go out there. If you don't know what kind, especially any kids, stay away from a snake, period. Just bottom line, go find a parent, go find an adult, tell them so they can get rid of the snake. Don't go out there and try to catch it like Todd does. It's no.
Yeah, snakes are not something easy handled. You don't need to handle them, period. But I've messed with them all my life. Dealing with them, hunting, being in the woods all the time. Actually, I caught a copperhead in my backyard one time. My son was playing football with some of his friends in the backyard. And, caught a copperhead. It wasn't very long, probably about 14, 15 inches long. And he had a hamster cage there at the house that from a hamster that of course had gotten away. And I put it in the hamster cage, and it stayed in the hamster cage for, 3 or 4 months, feeding it crickets and frogs and whatever I could pick up. And finally, my buddies told me if I didn't get rid of that snake, they was gonna quit coming over. So I had to get rid of.
I don't blame them. I would have told you the same thing. Definitely. But parents, seriously, don't change it all. Listen to us talk about snakes, how to get them out of your yard, keep your kids safe, keep your family safe, and how to identify the different snakes, whether you're out on the water, whether you're in your backyard, or whether you're even out somewhere riding four-wheelers or something, because it's something that's very prevalent. A lot of people don't talk about it, and we want to bring you this information tonight. Don't forget, you can download the Red Peach Radio app anywhere in the world. Go to Red Peach Radio, click on the Z107.5 link, and listen to us all over the world.
That's right. And Brandon, talking about going four-wheel riding and stuff. I'll tell you what story happened to me one time. Me and some friends was riding our four-wheelers in the woods and of course in the mud holes and stuff, having fun. And went in a mud hole, and a cottonmouth just happened to be in that mud hole. And seen it as it swam off. We all stopped, went to backing up. Well, a cottonmouth is a very aggressive snake. Well, that cottonmouth charged my four-wheeler and actually climbed up inside the body of my four-wheeler. Needless to say, I exited the four-wheeler very quickly.
Yeah, I would have taken.
I got off of it. We wind up tying a rope to it, and pulling it back out of the mud hole. And it took me about an hour to determine if that snake had found his way back out and wasn't on my forwarder before I get back on and ride it.
But I'm going to tell y'all a very good secret at the end of the show of how to keep snakes away. For y'all that don't know, prior to me being account executive for Z107.5 and the radio stations here at Red Peach Media and host of Southern Outdoors, years ago I was commercial accounts manager of Orkin Pest Control for 3 years. So I know how to get rid of snakes, and as long as I've been with Todd, I don't think we've ever seen a snake in our yard. So don't believe we have. I'm pretty good.
Don't believe we have, and nor any other kind of bug if you know the truth about it.
I can get rid of some bugs and some snakes and some rodents, but
the
there's a lot of tricks.
The only thing she can't get rid of is flies. She can't get rid of flies.
They're horrible. But anyway, you're listening to Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. We're going to take you to your Nomis Tech Tip, and we'll be back with more after this.
Here's another Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors Tech Tip, brought to you by Nomis Pawn and Gun in Jonesboro.
Come to the biggest little store around, Nomis Pawn and Gun in Jonesboro, Louisiana. Diamonds, jewelry, guns, big screen TVs, tools, and a whole lot more. Purchase a scope, Nomis will mount it free of charge. Free bore sighting, 0% down and no interest on 12 months, same as cash. Nomis has been in business for 30 years. Nomis Pawn and Guns, where you get everything from diamonds to double barrels. 418 Allen Avenue in Jonesboro, Louisiana. Welcome to Southern Outdoors Tech Tip. This week, we're talking about jigging for big bass during early spring. In spring, as the bass move from their winter haunts to the staging areas where they hold until conditions are right to move to their shallow flats for the spawn, there are very, very few exhibitions that will outproduce a crawfish imitation presentation. Lures that imitate crawfish are so effective because bass feast on emerging crawfish. Bass eat crawfish all year, but in early spring they're among the first forage to appear. The scent, sound, and activity of the crawfish bring the bass to the staging areas in the deeper waters near the spawning flats. It is believed that the crawfish provide bass with the essential nutrients needed to prepare the bass for the approaching spawn. Anglers must offer a close imitation of the crawfish to the bass in the staging areas. And one lure that excels at this is a jig with a trunk trailer. Slowly dragging across structure in deeper waters will catch the big girls as they wait for the males to prepare the beds for spawning. In these deeper areas, darker colors prevail, such as black and blue, green pumpkin, or natural crawfish colors. A light jig will sink slower and give the lethargic bass more time to strike in the cool water of the early spring. The chunk trailer appendages imitate the claws and legs of a crawfish by moving as the jig sinks and moves across the bottom with a slow retrieve. The proper presentation also lifts a silt or settlement trail on the bottom that resembles the clouds made as the crawfish emerge for their clay homes of winter and scurry around to get the mud off of their bodies. Some anglers take the crawfish presentation to another level by adding a jig rattle to mimic the sound of the claws of the crawfish. Other anglers add attractants in the crawfish, such as scents, as well to draw bass to the lure. Sight, scent, and sound with the proper presentation work in unison to produce reaction strikes from the bass that forage on the crawfish. A presentation of a quick acceleration of the jig followed by a pause will mimic the crawfish fleeing and then taking a fighting stance as the trailer flares, which initiates a strike. Early spring bass fishing is by far the best season. There's something about being on the water as the changing temperatures and longer days bring life back to the landscape, as well as to in the water below. Nature has its way of replenishing everything it needs. Anglers can help this by being responsible, enjoying the water, and taking someone fishing this year. And this has been your Southern Outdoors Tech Tip.
Let's get back to more on the outdoors way of life with the Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors Show on Z107.5.
And welcome back to your crazy crew here at Southern Outdoors. And before I forget, there is actually some pictures up on our Southern Outdoors page, which you to send us your pictures. Peyton Austin caught two 30-pound ops this past weekend. He was actually, I believe, fishing with his uncle and his granny, and they are nice. You gotta go check these fish out. And then let's see, a few weeks ago, and I happened to just notice these pictures. Faith Johnson killed her first and second Kansas City turkey the past weekend. Now, that was dated April the 8th. She killed 2 turkeys, and she's a cute little girl, and she's so proud of herself with her turkeys. And also, Trey Johnson killed a Kansas City turkey last weekend with 11-inch beard. Now, that was April the 8th, too, and that was a Kansas City turkey. So we want to say congratulations to all of them kids on their catches and their kills.
That's right. I enjoy seeing them kids out there. Turkey hunting is a tough sport anyway. A turkey has an eyesight like an eagle. I mean, you might fool a turkey's nose, but you don't fool his eyes. I mean, you can be sitting there and flick a finger, and they bust you. And to see these young kids out there and actually being successful, killing turkeys that's a tribute to whoever has been teaching them turkey hunting.
And especially, Peyton, he's doing amazing. He's an amazing deer hunter. And that's one of the little boys that we've been telling you, or little boys, he's a teenager now, that you need to keep your eyes on, because he's an amazing deer hunter. He's an amazing fisherman. And, I mean, he's coming up. That's the next generation coming up. So he's doing really well.
Yeah, not only did he catch them 2 30-pound ops, he had a whole table full of catfish, as you can see in the picture that he caught. He caught all the bait himself, with brim and stuff he used for bait. Caught all that stuff himself. So, His dad and his uncle Eugene have done a fine job teaching him how to set them hooks on Black Lake.
Yeah, and I think last Thursday was his Sweet 16, so he had a really good birthday.
Yeah, yes, he did.
But you're listening to Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. We're going to take you to your Good Things Fishing Report, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Hickson and Monroe has a large selection of pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. We have upfront pricing. Upfront pricing means our low prices are right on the windshield to help you save time and money. We have several finance options to choose from. We want to make your buying experience easy. If you're looking for a pre-owned or a certified pre-owned vehicle, come by and give us a look today. Go to HicksonFordMonroe.com to find your next vehicle.
Hickson has it.
On the Hickson Ford Southern Outdoor Show, it's time now for the Fishing Report, brought to you by Good Things in West Monroe.
Good Things of West Monroe has that one-of-a-kind gift. Whether you're looking for rustic hunting or western decor, purses, dresses, or contour tees, ready for Mardi Gras? Good Things has boas, masks, and beads. They can even special order that hard-to-find item. Good Things, 3001 Cypress Street, West Monroe, or on Facebook at Good Things Gifts.
On your Southern Outdoors fishing report for this week, over on Caney, the rain has slowed down the fishing a little. You can still bring in a few bass on brush hogs and tubes. Over on Lake Claiborne, the crappie spawning is slow due to the rain as well. Bass fishing has slowed a bit too, but we look for it to pick back up with the warm weather. Try a few crankbaits, maybe some watermelon brush hogs. Over on Lake Darbone, you can still catch a few crappie in the creeks and the shallows on jigs and shiners. The rain has slowed again the bass fishing down a bit, but they're going to be picking back up soon. Try your flukes and your jerk baits. And this has been your Southern Outdoors Fishing Report.
Now, back to the Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors Show on Z107.5. It's not just hunting, it's a way of life.
And welcome back to Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. I'm your host, Brandy Watson. And talking about Good Things, they have some amazing gifts. And they also have some amazing Mexican pottery in. They're getting all their outdoor stuff in for the summer and the spring. They have all sorts of new, not really decals, but all sorts of wall art, Mexican pottery, flower pots, rocking chairs, all sorts of stuff like that. They even have the dresses, the contour tees, hunt and rustic. I mean, they have an amazing, amazing selection. So go check Good Things out at 3001 Cypress Street in West Monroe.
That's right, Brenda. They do have a lot of good stuff, and I know you've been doing some shopping over there. I know you told me you picked out some nice rocking chairs. Or you've seen some rocking chairs over there. Been looking for some rocking chairs to go on our newly built back porch. I know you're going to do some more shopping at, where'd you tell me you was going?
Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde for a swing. She's got her eyes on a swing, and so she's going to be going and doing that. And And to all our listeners out there, I'd like to apologize because some of our segments have been double recorded from last week, been pulled from last week and used again this week, and I want to apologize for that.
We don't know what happened, but we're going to get that fixed for you. We also want to talking about, the snakes, some of the most common venomous snakes that we actually have in Louisiana. You have the canebrake rattlesnake, the timber rattler, and the banded rattlesnake. That is some of the most dangerous rattlesnakes that we actually have in the state of Louisiana. They're very venomous, so make sure you stay away from them. Now, the canebrake rattler and the timber rattler and the banded rattlesnake it's all the same snakes. It's just different names for them snakes. They run from 25 to 70 inches, light tan or beige, above with the dark brown crossbands and a reddish stripe down the middle of their back. Brown band from eye to angle of the mouth, and the tail is dark gray or black, and scales are keeled. Now, habitats for these rattlesnakes, as I call it, the timber rattler, they inhabit wooded and forest areas, preferred hardwoods. They tend to lie motionless in a resting coil using logs and trees, bases, or thickets. They feed on rodents, preferring wood rats and squirrels. These rattlers move from hibernation sites to summer. They move from hibernation sites, and in the summer, they'll start coming out, going around in mid-spring, they'll start coming out, getting under them logs, getting under the trees, and their big time to move is in the spring and the fall. And you have to watch. This is a big thing you can step on. They give birth. When they give birth, they have anywhere between 7 to 16 young. So, and we were talking about how overpopulated the rattlesnakes are actually getting in Jackson Parish last year. So you got to think, if they were that bad last year, and each rattlesnake can give birth to 7 to 16 young, I mean, it's going to be bad. So watch where you step this year. And this is the timber rattler, also known as the canebrake rattler or the banded rattler. Something we see a lot of around here. And most of Louisiana, except the coastal regions, have this snake. So that's another thing that you have to watch out. But you're listening to Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. We're going to take you to break, and we'll be back after this.
Hickson and Monroe has a large selection of pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. We have upfront pricing. Upfront pricing means our low prices are right on the windshield to help you save time and money. We have several finance options to choose from. We want to make your buying experience easy. If you're looking for a pre-owned or a certified pre-owned vehicle, come by and give us a look today. Go to HicksonFordMonroe.com to find your next vehicle.
Hickson has it.
Let's get back to more on the outdoors way of life with the Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors Show on Z107.5.
Welcome back to Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. We are talking about them slithery little critters that you don't want nothing to do with, that scare the kids and scare everything, is the snakes. Now, we just got through talking about the timber rattler. Another one of the venomous snakes that we actually have in Louisiana is the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. Now, the eastern diamondback rattlesnake is anywhere between 25 and 90 inches. It can be brown or tan with dark brown pale edges, diamond-shaped markings, dark band border by light stripes extended diagonally through the eyes. The tail with pale and dark rings, scales keeled, and in 29 rows. Now, somebody that has seen a diamondback rattlesnake, they'll know it because they're pretty big. Diamondbacks occur in open pine lands. Adults feed on small rabbit and large rodents. They give birth from 7 young to 21 young. And I know, you take your kids to the zoo and you see these huge snakes. I remember when I was little, I was terrified to go to the zoo. I didn't even want to go in the snake exhibit. But my parents would drag me in there so I could actually see these different rattlesnakes. So if we actually saw them out in the yard, I would know what they were and to stay away from them. So that's something you really need to get your kids involved in and let them know the different types of snakes. Because to me, I just stay away from all of them because sometimes you can't tell the difference if it's poisonous or not. So just stay away from them. Now, another thing, there's different portions of Louisiana that the eastern diamondback is more prevalent, I can't talk, in. Now, in Tangipahoa and St. Tammany parishes, there are a few. There are no more than 8 recordings of the diamondback in Louisiana. But I think there's actually been more sightings than there's actually been recordings of the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. Another snake that we have is the pygmy rattlesnake. It grows from 10 to 20 inches, pale gray, and tan, with a row of dark blotches or spots down the back and 1 row on each side. Reddish or orange band presents down the middle of the back and wide black band along the sides of the head. Underside whitish gray or tan with brown blotches or spots. They're scaly and in 21 to 23 rows. The rattle is very small in contrast to the other rattlesnake species. Now, don't get me wrong, this snake is just as dangerous. The pygmy rattlesnake is just as dangerous as the timber rattler and the eastern diamondback. It is smaller, but it is just as dangerous. Now, the pygmy rattlesnake occurs in wooded areas, but tend to avoid the swamps. They favor areas with a lot of grass and piney lands and dry coastal lands, but they also occur in the Palomit flatwoods. Trying to get that word out right. And they give birth from 4 to 14 youngs. So you got to think about this. When you're talking about snakes, you see one snake. And you think, okay, well, I'm just going to let it go. So it's just a rattlesnake. And it's probably not going to go too far. It's going to go off, hibernate, and then next spring, guess what? They give birth to 7 snakes, and then you got 7 more or 14 more. You're going to be overrun with snakes. And I'm not trying to scare anybody out there, but I have actually seen that. You know, oh, it's just a snake, it'll go on its way. That may be fine. And a lot of the good snakes that are like your king snakes that actually kill other snakes and, you know, keep other pests away, that's great. But the poisonous snakes, especially if you got small kids, you really want to be on your P's and Q's and on your toes and be watching out for them. Because one bite could be deadly. And, you know, with us living as far out as we do, there's not a lot of, when you go to hospitals, there's not a lot of hospitals that can treat that quick to save a life. Okay, and then another type of snake that we want to talk about that I personally don't think I've ever seen out in the wild is the coral snake, but they are very common. Now, there's 2 types of coral snake. We have the Harlequin coral snake. It's 15 to 36 inches, series of white, black, and red rings separated by narrow yellow rings encircling the body. Snout black and rear of head yellow. The scales are smooth and in 15 rows. The first black ring on the neck does not reach the other one. The 2 large shields on the crown of the head. Now keep in mind, coral snakes are very secretive and they very, very, very rarely encounter. They forage in leaf litter during the day or the evening, but they remain concealed most of the time. They inhabit dry wooded areas, especially pine lands and mixed forests. Coral snakes don't strike. But if you do not handle these snakes correctly, they may bite you unexpectedly and should not be held under any circumstances. They also feed on lizards and other small snakes, and they lay 5 to 9 eggs. So you see this pretty colored snake, don't think you want to go play with it, because if they bite you, you're in trouble. The Florida parishes east of the upper Emmett River and the lower Tangipahoa River. There are no confirmation records on from Louisiana since the 1980s. They do not occur south of Lake Pontchartrain, but they are in these areas. Now, that's one common coral snake that we actually have here in Louisiana. The other common coral snake is the Texas coral snake. 15 to 36 inches, series of wide black and red rings separated by narrow yellow rings encircling the body. The snout black and rear of the head are yellow. The scales are smooth and are in 15 rows. The first black ring on the neck covers the rear tip to the partial shield. 2 large shields on the crown of the head. Now, the habitats for this, they're found in the hardwood regions and along some of the rivers, and they lay about 3 to 9 eggs. They're found in the dry upperlands of the central North Louisiana pines, in the flatwoods around Calcasieu Parish, Vermilion River, and Abbeville. And keep in rule, I know my grandparents told me this, I'm sure y'all have heard this before. You know, red next to black is a friend of Jack, but red and yellow, it'll kill a fella. But you're listening to Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. We're going to take you to break, and we'll be back after this.
Hickson and Monroe has a large selection of pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. We have upfront pricing. Upfront pricing means our low prices are right on the windshield to help you save time and money. We have several finance options to choose from. We want to make your buying experience easy. If you're looking for a pre-owned or a certified pre-owned vehicle, come by and give us a look today. Go to HicksonFordMonroe.com to find your next vehicle.
Hickson has it.
Good Things of West Monroe has that one-of-a-kind gift, whether you're looking for rustic, hunting, or western decor. Good Things also carry concealed carry purses by Montana, as well as western and blingy ones too, dresses and wild-colored leggings, and contour tees. Good Things also has Mexican pottery and outdoor decor, just in time for spring and summer. Good Things, 3001 Cypress Street, West Monroe, or on Facebook at Good Things Gifts.
Welcome to Southern Outdoors Archery Talk. This past weekend, April 19th, was the Centerpoint Bowman 3D Archery Tournament, and 79 shooters showed up for some 3D fun, even with it being Easter weekend. And this is the way the egg rolled. Pee Wee class, Lucas Lord, 182 for first. Grace Sutton, 168 for second. Nathan Wright, 162 for third. Cubs class, Caleb Tynes, 196 for first. Cooper Mims, 186 for second. Aiden Spillers, 174, bringing in third. Youth class, Divine Rowland, 212 for first. Logan Lord, 200 for second. And Brandon Harris with a 200, bringing in third. Traditional class, Adam Taylor with a 194 for first. David Taylor with a 190 for second. And Mike Uchley with a 181, bringing in third. Advanced Traditional, Bob Peridot with a 200 for first, and Tiger Garby with a 185 for second. Anthony Ditton, 175, bringing in third. Women's Bow Hunter, Christy Payne with a 202 for first, Leah Lord, 198 for second, and Nikki Hall with a 197 for third. Women's Open, Darby Rowland, 171 for first, and Lisa Lowry with a 152 for second. Novice class, Jeff Myers with a 196 for first, Steven Skipper, 183 for second, and Wayne Reiser with a 180 for third. Bowhunter class, Jared Fallon with a 186 for first, Walter Burton, 171 for second, and Lee McKenzie with a 167, bringing up third. Bowhunter Outlaw class, Troy Lord, 196 for first, Tony Conselli, 190 for second, and Michael Mims with a 179 for third. Open class, Bradley Poss, 214 for first, and Kendall Strachner with a 206 for second. Logan Reed with a 206 for third. Senior Open, Bucky Tynes with a 200 for first, Kenny Ambrose, 190 for second, and Marcel Ronquill with a 186 for third. And in the pro class, Jason Daniels with a 208 for first, Richie Bowden, 194 for second, and Ronnie Ronquill with a 192 for third. This coming weekend is an open weekend for Nela, a good weekend to go fishing. And this has been your Southern Outdoors Archery Talk.
Now back to the Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors Show on Z107.5. It's not just hunting, it's a way of life.
And welcome back to your crazy crew here at Southern Outdoors. And it has been an interesting Southern Outdoors in the studio. Like I said, it's getting a little snaky and slithery and crazy around here, but we got it fixed now. We had some technical difficulties, and we want to thank Mr. Patrick Hall for coming in here and helping us out. He did an amazing job backing us up, so we want to thank him for that. So.
Yeah, he did. He come in and saved us on a couple segments, but that's good. We appreciate his help. Because I promise you, I couldn't have got us out of that hole. But Patrick come in and saved us, got us out of that hole.
Wasn't our fault. It was just something technical that happened. There's every now and then, but we want to thank Mr. Patrick Hall for that. Your DJ you can listen to every day from, I think it's 2 to 6, 2 to 7 on Z107.5. So we want to thank him for that. Did an amazing job for us.
Yeah, and where were you at on the snakes? Because I was helping Patrick figure out the technical difficulties and get those straightened out. So where were we at on the snakes?
Well, I was talking about, the different rattlesnakes that we actually have here in Louisiana. And the canebrake rattlesnake, the timber rattler, and the banded rattlesnake, they're all under the same name. You'll hear somebody say, I've always heard it as a timber rattler. With my dad working in the woods, you always hear him talk about the timber rattler, because being out in the woods, if you're a logger working, you're always running across them.
Well, in actuality, most people mistake all rattlesnakes for being a timber rattler here in North Louisiana, because there are so many timber rattlers. A timber rattler is the largest of the rattlesnakes that we have here in North Louisiana. But I've actually caught quite a few timber rattlers. I've killed quite a few.
You need to quit saying that, because the kids are going to be listening. They're going to be wanting to catch snakes.
Killed quite a few. She don't want me to have no kind of fun, does she? But the biggest timber rattler that I've ever come across, I was actually on a hunting club. I was doing some hunting, actually doing some scouting for bow season. It was right before bow season, doing some scouting, getting ready to find a place to hang a bow stand. And I actually come out of a hardwood bottom where I was going to put a stand, where I had seen many rattlesnakes, and came around a curve on a little gravel road, and there's a rattlesnake crossing the road. And he was stretching pretty good ways across that road. Well, I had a little scabbard on my four that I kept a machete in. So immediately I grabbed the machete and I flew off the four. I'm fixing to kill this big rattlesnake. And I got, within probably 3 or 4 feet of that rattlesnake with that machete, and then it hit me. That rattlesnake is twice as long as the distance I am from it. Of course, it was all stretched out. It wasn't coiled up. But a rattlesnake can still jump even though he's stretched out. So I backed up, cut me a limb, come back, and I killed a snake. He was actually 5 foot 11.5 inches long, had 21 rattlers and a button, and I kid you not, was big around as my leg. It was a huge rattlesnake, rattlesnake.
I think that's another thing is, I was sitting here while everybody was working on the behind the scenes stuff, talking about the different rattlesnakes, and I didn't realize myself that, the timber rattler has between 7 and 16 young. The eastern diamondback has between 7 and 21 young. The pygmy rattlesnake has, between 4 and 14 young. So if it's a rattlesnake, pretty much, let me just sum it up in a nutshell. Stay away from it. Just stay away from it. Just get away from it. And then we talked about the coral snake, something I have never personally ran across in the wild, but they are here. Like I said, we have the Harlequin coral snake and the Texas coral snake, which is around here. But they're very secretive. You're not going to see a lot of them. Don't pick them up and play with them, though, if you do. Like I was saying, red next to black is a friend of Jack. Red and yellow, it'll kill a fella. And I learned that a long time ago. And one thing my Uncle W.L. taught me a long time ago, he said, if you always see a snake, step on its head. Of course, I was like 6. I was like, if I see a snake, I'm running. But you step on its head, it keeps it from biting you. Of course, you don't want to intentionally do it, but make sure if you think you're going to be close enough, step on its head, not its tail.
Now, you don't want to try to step on the head of a snake that is coiled up.
Well, true.
Because by the time you get your leg close, he's done bit you. But if a snake is crawling, trying to get away from you or trying to come to you, yes, that'd be good advice to,
Because sometimes you just can't get away quick enough.
If you step on his head, he can't bite you. But then you got to get off of his head. When you get off his head and try to back up,
Well, that's when you
Make sure you squash it real good while you just got it stepped on.
Well, that's when you hope that you're in the yard and there's somebody around to scream for help. That's what we always did.
And,
when we were
and Brandy's going to give you that secret to keep snakes out of your yard here closer to the end of the show. I was going to talk about a snake while we was on our hog hunt for the Louisiana Swiner's wild boar roundup. Me and Brad and the team was hog hunting. Me and Brad was talking on the hunt, and he'd actually killed a snake a couple days before, but he wasn't sure of what kind of snake it was. And he was telling me and Adam, what the snake looked like and everything. And basically, he was telling us that it looked like, when it picked its front body up, its head flared out like a cobra. And that snake, if you see it, you're going to think it's a cobra, but it's actually not. It's actually called a spreading Etta. I'd never seen one before until about probably 15 to 20 years ago. Me and a good friend of mine, Glenn Tullis, he worked with me back then. And me and him was on a job and was pulling into a location, and one was crossing the road right there, and we got out. And he was thinking it was a big rattlesnake, and once we got out and seen it, he said it was a spreading Etta. And I said, well, what is that? And then when it flared up and it spread its head out just like a cobra did, I understood. Now it's a non-venomous snake, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. I'm not real positive, but I think it's a non-venomous snake. That was the first one I ever seen. The next one I seen was actually in my yard. I lived in Chatham, and I pulled up at the house one day, and my boat had a bass boat just sitting on the carport, and I seen this snake, kind of coiled up around my boat trailer. And as I pulled up, he hit the ground and started going to get underneath my house. And of course, when I got there, I reached and grabbed his tail, pulled him back, and of course he turned around and his head flared up, and then he went under my house. Well, it took me.
You let go of that tail then, didn't you?
It took me quite a few hours crawling underneath the house to finally find him, and I found him, caught him, and got him up under my house.
I got an easy suggestion. You don't have to crawl under the house getting the snakes. I can have the snakes coming out from underneath the house. You all guys remember this tip that I'm gonna give you later. Do not let your wife talk you into going underneath the house for a snake. I've got something to get the snakes out from underneath your house without you having to go under there. But you're listening to Hicks and Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. We're going to take you to your Southern Outdoors Bible verse, and we'll be back after this.
On your Southern Outdoors Bible verse for this week, we go to 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 3. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. And this has been 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 3. God bless.
Let's get back to more on the Outdoors Way of Life with the Hicks and Ford Southern Outdoors Show on Z107.5.
And welcome back. And we're sitting here talking about snakes today, and something that we experience with the spring warming up. You're going to be out working in your garden, or planting flowers, or building porches, or out fishing, or whatever it is that you want to do outside, mud riding 4-wheelers. Another thing that I have quite the experience with, because where we live out in Gar's Mill, we have a 6-acre pond. And I'm sure 90% of us, this is one of the most common snakes in Louisiana, the cottonmouth, also known as the water moccasin. And talking about snake stories, me and my cousins, Curtis and Jason, we were, 9, 10 years old. We were country kids. We were outside playing, and my grandma had brought a refrigerator, so we were playing in the refrigerator box. Well, of course, at night it fell down, and Jason, he's a wee little old thing. He's probably 4 years old. He goes out there, and he picks up the box, and he comes running back, and he tells his mom, there's something really scary under that box. And, of course, me and Curtis, we go out there and check it out, and it's about 5-6 foot long water moccasin. I thought my Aunt Linda was going to absolutely have a heart attack. But that's something. When you have a pond, you have to watch the cottonmouths or water moccasins. They go anywhere from 15 to 55 inches. They're dark tan, brown, or nearly black, with vague black or dark brown cross bands. The side of the head is black with a white line from the eye to the angle of the mouth. The underside is dark with large blackish blotches, and they run in about 25 rows. The juveniles have a bold pattern of dark brown cross bands on a pink or orange background with a yellow tail. Some adults retain the juvenile pattern. Now, cottonmouths frequently swamplands, ponds, lakes, stream borders, especially those with dense canopies. They often remain coiled near the water or on log jams in the water, rarely exceeding shrubs or palmettos. They frequently travel between streams, even over low ridges, and may be found in almost any habitat.
And they also found on she said any habitat. I'm telling you a place where they are found in abundance. That's on Black Lake. I used to do a lot of fishing on Black Lake, and me and a buddy of mine was scrolling along there, and there was, I mean, a big old water moccasin laying on a limb. Limb's probably, I would say, 6-inch limb, and it's just laying down right on top of the water. And this snake was huge, huge. I guarantee you it was big around as my calf. Huge snake laying there. Me and him was looking at it, and said, man, look at that big old snake, And about that time, he decided he found something in the water he wanted to go after. Like I said, this limb was actually a tree, was laying right on top of the water. When he come off of it, head first into the water, when the last of his body got off of that limb, it stood straight up in the air. It was actually a tree that he had climbed and pushed over and was laying on that tree.
Dang. Now, they feed on fish, frogs, water snakes, and small mammals and give birth, here we go again, 2 to 20 young. You see what I mean? How quick and how fast they populate? 2 to 20 young. That's a lot of snakes.
I know a lot of y'all have seen the movie Lonesome Dove, when they're traveling across and they cross the river, and that young boy on the show gets falls off his horse in a bed of snakes. That's what he fell into, a bed of water moccasins, and they can get in a frenzy like that and be all balled up in the water, and you not know it, and you fall in there, and
you're gone.
You're not going to make it out of there.
No. And then another snake, moving on from the water moccasin, we also have the copperhead. It gets 14 to 45 inches, beige, tan, or pale gray, often with a dull pink or orange tint above, with broad, darker brown, hourglass-shaped crossbands that slightly paler on the lower sides. Upper side whitish with dark brown blotches. The head is patternless, often with a faint orange tint on the top of it, dull yellow on the sides. Young copperheads have a bright yellow tail. Also, copperheads frequent forests and wooded areas. They are unaggressive but create a potential hazard by laying motionless and camouflaged. During the summer, they are active at night and very early in the morning. They feed on frogs, rodents, and give birth from 4 to 16 young. And they are everywhere in Louisiana. And all the information that we're getting on these snakes has come from the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. So you can also go to Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries and get all this information. And you can actually show your kids pictures of these different types of snakes. That way they know what they look like.
And that's a very good idea to do, especially, I'll tell you another story. I'm full of stories today about snakes, ain't I? Little boy and his dad was fishing on the side of a pond. And this has to do with the copperhead, but they were fishing on the side of the pond, and the little boy was catching fish left and right, and his dad was not having much luck. So he asked his dad. He said, the dad asked the little boy. He said, "What are you fishing with?" The boy was like 9 or 10 years old, and he said, "I'm fishing with some worms I found over there." He said, "Well, let me see them worms." Well, he reached in his pocket and pulled the worms out, and what he had was a handful of baby copperheads.
Oh,
and that's
no.
what he was fishing with. The little boy wound up dying from the snake bites on his hands and on his legs. The difference between a small snake, a juvenile snake, and an adult snake. A juvenile snake you think is going to be less poisonous. The thing about a juvenile snake, when a juvenile snake bites you, he will give you every bit of venom he has in him. He does not know to reserve that venom for the next bite. Because when a snake uses all of their venom, it takes so long for it to build back up and for them to be able to defend themselves again. So a small snake, when he bites, he's going to send you every bit of it. So I'm not saying a big snake's not going to kill you, because they will, but a small snake will put every bit. But anyway, the little boy wound up dying because of that. So always watch. He found them on the edge of like Brenda said, in a stump. There was a fallen down tree right there. It had a rotten log, And that's where we found it, right there is where the baby snakes was at.
But you're listening to Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. We're going to take you to your B&L Marine outdoor calendar, and we will be back with more about how to get rid of the snakes around your house after this.
Hickson and Monroe has a large selection of pre-owned and certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. We have upfront pricing. Upfront pricing means our low prices are right on the windshield to help you save time and money. We have several finance options to choose from. We want to make your buying experience easy. If you're looking for a pre-owned or a certified pre-owned vehicle, come by and give us a look today. Go to HicksonFordMonroe.com to find your next vehicle.
Hickson has it.
Welcome to Southern Outdoors event calendar. April 26th will be the Louisiana Sports Festival in Winfield, Louisiana at the Wynn Parish Fairgrounds. Also April 26th, the Jackson Parish Chamber of Commerce Caney Lake Big Bass Tournament. On May 1st, the Bassmasters Elite Series Tournament on Toledo Bend. May 3rd will be the Heflin Sawmill Festival in Heflin, Louisiana. And Okaloosa Archery will hold their second 3D tournament on the Nela 3D Trail. Spring squirrel season will be May 3rd through May 25th. Just remember, spring squirrel season is closed in Kisatchie National Forest, U.S. Army Corps of Engineering properties, and some state wildlife management areas. Check your wildlife management area season schedules. And this
On
is
your
been
Southern Outdoors
event
recipe
calendar.
of the week this week, we have fried chicken strips or alligator pieces. Marinade in a mix of a new 7-Up citrus marinade, Italian dressing, and black pepper in the fridge for about an hour. Then flour and fry till golden brown. And serve with Z's secret sausage sauce. And this is your so good Southern Outdoors recipe of the week.
Now back to the Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors Show on Z107.5. It's not just hunting, it's a way of life.
And welcome back to Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors on Z107.5. We want to thank some of our fine sponsors. We want to thank Hickson Autoplex over on Louisville Avenue. We also want to thank Nomi's Pawn and Gun in Jonesboro, Louisiana, where they have everything from diamonds to double barrels. We also want to thank Z's Secret Sausage Sauce. That's the recipe you just heard. Z's Secret Sausage Sauce. Okay, we also want to thank B&L Marine, the outdoor calendar for all your boat needs. Go check them out in Monroe, Louisiana. And, of course, Good Things. Good Things of West Monroe. They have all good things. 3001 Cypress Street, West Monroe.
They do. They have a lot of good things.
You know, and talking about, all these snakes, and that's just, I went to the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries and, got the most venomous snakes in the state of Louisiana. Now, there is tons of snakes around here. Like I said, you can go to the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, get more information on the snakes, get the pictures, show them to your kids so they'll know, kind of learn more about them. Now, when you're trying to keep snakes out of your yard or away from your kids or out from under your house or away from your pool or away from your dogs or whatever, that's always a major concern for any family. You always want to keep that, keep the snakes away. Certain snakes are indigenous to certain regions, and some are more than others. A garter snake can actually be helpful to a garden and tend to stay away from people, while other snakes, like rattlesnakes, are more dangerous and are best to be kept out of your yard. Knowing the sort of snake that you are likely to find can help ease your anxiety about about keeping the snakes away, and may make you aware of making an important decision. Keep your yard free of clutter. If I've said this in my life once, I've said it a million times. If you have stacked up wood, like a lot of people have firewood, keep it away from your house. Don't put it up against your house. Put it out by a fence or out by a shop or something like that. If you don't want the snakes in your shop, keep it away from your shop. Just kind of have a own little place for your firewood. Don't have all sorts of piled debris or leaves or straw or mulch or wood chips. That's another thing is you have these flower beds, but watch how much stuff you plant in these flower beds. Don't have it looking like a jungle, because the more, it may be pretty, but it's also going to attract more rodents, more insects, more pests, whatever they may be, and then that's going to attract the snakes. Avoid tall growing plants. Just like the clutter, certain shrubs and other plants provide the perfect hiding spots for snakes. Keep your grass mowed. Keep your yard clean, keep your grass mowed, keep your shrubs cut back, because the thicker, the more jungle-like, the more snakes you're going to have. You know, and if you are concerned about the potential snake problem, remove or thin these plants out. If you want to keep these plants, however, consider transplanting them to the far side of your yard away from your house. Don't have the jungle thing up against your house, because then again, you're going to have the snake problem. You know, remove all, some people have like these little ponds or whatever, you know, I guess you would call them, you know, little water ponds or goldfish ponds. Any sort of low-lying water that you may have, or even if it's just a bucket of water you left out for your dog or something like that, check it. Make sure you pour it out. A large mud puddle that you have in your yard, fill it in. If you got a dog watering bowl, just check it every few days. Put fresh water in it. It's just maybe being vigilant about what you got going on. A bird bath. They're going to go in for bird baths. Bird baths, not only do they attract snakes, but they attract snakes because they attract rodents. And that's what people don't understand. Oh my God, I got a snake. Well, when somebody come to me and said, you have a snake? I'm like, you got a snake because you got a rodent problem. No, I don't. Yes, you do. Snakes are coming to your house for a source of food. If they're coming to your house for a source of food and shelter, you've got mice. Or you've got some sort of rodent in that house or under that house that they're coming for. Get rid of your pest problem. Call up the pest control company of your choice, or spray your house. I know a lot of people say, well, I've got dogs. Well, shift the dogs from room to room. Get you some local insecticide, you know, from Walmart or wherever. Treat your house inside first, then outside. You know, and that'll help get rid of the pests. Most snakes, like rattlesnakes, eat mice. If a snake is in your house, I hate to tell you, guess what you have? You have mice. You can say no, but you do. You just don't know you have them, because they're going to come in for that food source. So inspect your house inside and out. Patch up any holes that you may have. If you have spotted a snake in your yard and are worried about keeping them out of your house, the best thing you can do is locate and repair all the holes in your foundation, your garage, your screen doors. Carefully inspect these areas, and if you notice any holes, no matter how big or how small, patch them up immediately. Even holes as small as quarter or large enough for certain type of garter snakes to squeeze through. And remember, garter snakes not that poisonous, but guess what? Bigger snakes ain't smaller snakes. There's food source there. And this is the number one thing you can use to get rid of snakes. I have used it. I'm a firm believer in it. A lot of people don't like the smell, but I would rather live with a smell than live with a snake. Go to Walmart, dollar store, wherever, and buy you some mothballs. The mothballs will get rid of the snakes, but they're not really getting rid of the snakes as much as they're getting rid of the rodents. The rodents don't like the mothballs, so they're leaving. So the snakes are leaving because there's no food source. Spread mothballs or sprinkle sulfur powder around your home. This solution is, they say, is more myth than fact, but I swear by it. Whether the smell of mothballs and sulfur repel a snake or simply repel the rodents and insects that snakes feed on, a few careful placements of mothballs and sprinkle of sulfur powder might prove effective to keep snakes away and not sneaking in your house. These solutions are the best if you have small children or pets, because snakes can be fatal and hazardous. Also, mothballs can be fatal and hazardous. Don't let your kids eat a mothball or a dog eat a mothball. Just kind of watch them, especially if you got like siding up, like we live in a trailer, you got siding up under it. Open it, throw the mothballs up under there, close it back up. That way they can't get to it when they're out playing.
If you're going to spread mothballs, be sure to spread them underneath your house, underneath your shops, underneath your buildings. If you have small kids in the house, you don't want the mothball out to where they can see it, because you know little kids, they see something that looks like a piece of Hard Rock candy, they're going to pick it up and put it in their mouth. And
yeah, and I don't put the mothballs in my house. I put them outside my house. But this is a good time to sit down and teach your kids, you know, hey, look, we don't want snakes. We don't want rodents. Let's put the mothballs out, but this is poisonous. Don't touch it. it's kind of a learning experience. Make it a fun, learning, educational thing that they can actually do this summer where they actually learn something, a little bit of knowledge they'll have about the outdoors for the rest of their life. And then you won't have to be worried about them playing outside, and everybody's happy. No snakes, no rodents, no bugs, and, no kids.
Keep the mothballs up under their stuff where they can't get to them.
Yeah, no, and especially no sick kids. Kids getting sick, and from eating mothballs, whatever. And they say dogs will go after them. Some dogs might eat a mothball, some. It just depends on the dog, You just kind of have to use your better judgment, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I have to be honest with you. I've had dogs a long time, and Brandy's been spreading mothballs around our house for a long time.
I have seen one dog eat a mothball, and it didn't affect him. He was fine.
I've never seen a dog mess with a mothball. They smell it and go the other direction. That's all I've ever seen.
And the smell, for the first day, it is kind of strong, but after it rains a couple times, it's no problem. You don't even notice it's there.
That's right. You don't. But they work to keep the rodents. I know my little shop, man cave, if you will, where I got to keep all my hunting supplies and stuff. You don't find no mice around there because Brandon keeps mothballs spread out up in the loft. It's got a loft in it. She throws some up in the loft and throws them up underneath it. And I don't have mice. And I've yet to see a snake in my yard.
Yeah, and I think I do the pest control for about, 5 people? Personal family members and stuff like that, and that's the thing is, and if you're a pack rat, you're going to have mice, and then that's going to attract the snake. So it's just kind of a, use your better judgment type deal.
That's right.
But we tried to, I know we kind of went off a little, the beaten path of, the hunting, but, talk about Southern Outdoors and it being an outdoor show. And there's not a lot of people that hit on snake safety and stuff like that to keep you safe and to keep your kids safe. And I know growing up, especially me, my grandmother, my parents always taught me about snakes and staying away from them and all that. And you don't hear a lot of people tell their kids. I mean, I've talked to kids 8, 9, 10 years old whose parents have never even shown them a snake or said stay away from a snake. And that's something I was just thinking about, taking the kids into consideration this time of year and trying to protect the little ones,
That's right. And if you do happen to be bit by a snake, or you're with someone that gets bit by a snake, that you need to get that person to the emergency room as quick as possible. But if at all possible, kill the snake and take the snake with you. That way, when you get to the emergency room, they know what antivenom to use, because different antivenoms are for different snakes. So make sure.
And that's the same with spiders too.
Exactly. Make sure that if someone gets bit by a snake, if at all possible, kill the snake that bit them. Take it with you. That way they know what antivenom to use.
Well, I hope we've helped y'all out there tonight to keep your little ones, your pets, and your little babies safe. And if you have any questions or there's any questions, message me on Southern Outdoors Radio Facebook page. If there's anything you would like to hear, if there's anything that maybe we can help you with, or any questions you might have about snakes or rodents or squirrels or anything like that, even little spiders, shoot us a message and maybe we'll try to, can find an answer or find out how to help you. But thank y'all for listening tonight. We want to thank all of our listeners out there everywhere in the world, from Canada to Costa Rica and down in Wynn Parish and Jackson Parish. We want to thank all of our listeners out there.
Yes, we do. Thank all of our listeners. And don't forget, you can download the Red Peach Radio app and listen to us anywhere from your iPhone or your Android.
And like I said, I hope we were all able to help you out there tonight. And don't forget, it's not just hunting.
It's a way of life.
Listen every Tuesday at 6 p.m. for the Hickson Ford Southern Outdoors Show with Brandy Watson and Todd Causey. Check out the website for southernoutdoorsradio.com.